Hey folks, here's a really short overview of satire. We are moving into our next chunks of reading, and satire is one of the areas that we want to examine a little more closely as we move into our later units and spring semester in AP Lit. So satire is something that we're actually quite familiar with. And in our context, it's literature, but you will see the use of satire in TV, movies, um, newspapers, and a bunch of expository text. The goal of satire is it relies heavily on irony, but it uses a lot of sarcasm to reveal issues with humanity, issues with societal norms, political institutions, ideologies. It pokes fun at these typically vaunted ideas with the idea of trying to create reform. So again, the whole purpose of it isn't just to make, satire doesn't just make fun of something. That's only half the fun. Yes, it makes fun of something, but it does so with the intent to try to create reform, to change the norm. And satirists realized that this wasn't something that was going to happen very, very quickly. Change takes time, and that's part of the ongoing presentation of satire. So they do this by taking, again, these kind of highly accepted, vaunted norms and make fun of them. And they do so with the idea that hopefully the intelligent people who are catching the humor are in a position to start to try to think about how to affect change. So satire is definitely connected with comedy, but the thing to remember is that satire actually does more than just entertaining and amusing people like a comedy might. Satire is comedic, but it's done so with the intent to create change. So it's the intelligent humor versus the potty humor. And so satire will make you laugh, but the idea is that it also makes you think, which I think most of us agree is a pretty good way to learn something. And there are two large components of satire or subcategories of satire that we look at. Horatian, which is more indulgent and more subtle in its tone. Horatian satire is geared probably for your more insightful, perceptive, or intelligent set because it is a gentle sarcasm and it's delivered in kind of an indulgent tone. So you laugh and then you think about what the subtext of the line was, versus Juvenalian, which is very biting, very cruel. If Juvenalian satire is being used, it's evident to you as a reader because the tonality is different. It's harsher, it's more solemn, and it's more hurtful. And so we're tackling satire using Oscar Wilde, and he is an Irish poet and playwright. And some of you may be familiar with his shorter story, A Picture of Dorian Gray. Some of you may be familiar with the character. I believe he's presented in The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and he's also featured in some graphic novels. And that is one of the things that he is most well known for. The other pieces are his comedies, The Importance of Being Earnest and Lady Windermere's Fan. And Oscar Wilde is a significant satirist. A Picture of Dorian Gray is a more Horatian satire, and those of you who are familiar with the story of Dorian Gray, you'll notice a distinct difference in his tonality there versus in The Importance of Being Earnest, which is far more comedic in its delivery of social critique. And so as we tackle this play, it is a short play. It's only 3 acts, and it took me maybe an hour to read it. But it is a comedy and it has a happy ending for once. I think most of the dramas that we read in high school tend to be Shakespearean or tend to be tragic in their endings. The Importance of Being is a happy one, and I think that's probably a good thing for where we're at. I think happy is good. So, but it is a satire, and don't mistake that. The comedy is there, but there is a commentary on the Victorian era, and I'm going to spend some time in our next days looking at some of the norms of the Victorian era so you can see what Oscar Wilde is trying to criticize there. He is criticizing the importance that society, not just in the Victorian era, but I think arguably even today, he's commenting to the importance that we place on appearance or the importance that we place sometimes on meeting social expectations. And we've seen this throughout literature throughout your 4 to 6 years, reading literature and even expository text. But again, I think that it's because it is such a timeless piece and it is still something we wrestle with. It is interesting to kind of take a look at that. And the end commentary being that, yes, our society places expectations and norms relative to social class, behavior, dating, courtship, gender, all of these things, with the distinct comment through this humor that it's not so good to be preoccupied with these things, that may end up being detrimental to us in the end. And that's a little bit of an overview as we head into looking at some norms of the Victorian era and as we head into a more happy piece of drama. So I hope that helps, and I will look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.